Hi there, and welcome to Insomnia Insight number 343, in which we're going to go over something very important. You may have come across a Reddit post or heard on in a Facebook group about somebody who's literally tried everything and they've had insomnia for 15 years and they still have it. When you read that, you may have felt a sense of dread. Oh my gosh, this may never end. In this episode, we're going to debunk that. We're going to see that there are particular reasons for why somebody has insomnia for a very long time. And this is important because when you understand that, you see that, oh, okay, that doesn't apply to me. And you'll feel hopeful and you'll see that you can get to a place where you sleep beautifully well. So let's go over the three reasons someone can have insomnia for a very long time. The two first ones are really the ones I want to talk about because they really apply to that kind of horror story you hear about. But the third one is I think is important too, because that's the one where like, don't give up. Okay, this will make sense in a second. So let's go over this. So first of all, why is this topic important? Why are we talking about people who say they've had trouble sleeping for decades and they have tried everything? Because again, hopelessness is not your friend. When you feel hopeless, you feel stuck, it's hard to move forward. So in this episode, I want to give you hope by showing you why it is that these people say this. So the first reason why some people just like tell you that they've had it for years and they try everything and they kind of given up is these three I's. Actually, within these, the three reasons. The first one is kind of like three I's. I call them identity, investment, and incentives. So what am I talking about here? Well, here's the thing. There are some benefits sometimes with having insomnia. This sounds kind of really bizarre when I say this, but some people actually find benefit in having insomnia, and it can become their identity. They can think of themselves as an insomniac. So that's the first, identity. And other people, like in their family and friends, can also start identifying them as the insomniac. And that gives them this incentive whereby they get maybe attention, empathy. People ask them how they slept, and like they always have the struggle, and the struggle kind of gives them this both incentive and identity. And there's also that investment. If someone has spent like years and years like trying like supplements and gadgets and courses and all kinds of things, it can feel like you've invested in insomnia. And it can seem like, I've had this for so long. If I get better now, it's almost like all that was a waste of time, which in a way it kind of is, but it was no judgment there, but it can feel like it was a waste of time. And for that reason, people can feel invested in what happens here. If somebody's in this spot, like we have this identity, investment, kind of incentive situation going on, well, then you're not going to get better because part of you actually does not want to get better. And when there's kind of this recess in the brain, there's part of you that is finding benefit in having insomnia. You're part of a community, maybe, for some reason you want to have that insomnia. Well, then it can go on for decades. And often when you hear people on online groups, they're actually there for a reason. They find that community, they like it. So oftentimes when they tell you like I've had this for 20 years and it never goes away, that's for this reason, the identity, investment, and incentives reason, right? So that is one reason somebody can have insomnia for a long time. I think perhaps the most common one. Another, the second one here, very, very common too, is simply bad teaching. This can also go on for years. And this is when somebody just, start having trouble sleeping, like, when they were in their 20s or something, and they just never, ever found anything helpful. They were just led down the sleep hygiene, rabbit hole. They were led down the medication rabbit hole. They were led down, all these sleep effort rabbit holes, and they just never found any meaningful help. And this can, of course, go on for years and years and years. So that's the second reason, right? Now, the two first ones, those are the ones I really wanted to do this episode about, because those are the ones you hear about on forums and etc. And now you can see clearly why you are not in this spot. And so that's really what I'll talk about. But there's one more I want to add where you can have trouble sleeping for maybe not years, but for a long time too, for a month. And this is when the defense is really strong. And what do I mean by that? Well, this is when, you know, you want to get better and you have access to good teaching, but the brain, the survival machine it comes up with ways of keeping you focused on insomnia. It kind of keeps telling you like, oh, you know, it's not just anxiety, like something is different. Something's weird going on. It's, you know, and oftentimes I hear somebody say like, I'm not anxious at all, but I still just sleep very little. That to me is like the defense is very strong here. And in fact, when somebody's like, I'm super anxious, that's actually encouraging to me, because then they know why they have trouble sleeping and they're in a foundation. But if the defense is really, really strong, you know, somebody has this really protective brain and it really wants to make sure you're safe, there's no harm coming your way, it can come up with very strong ways of making it very difficult for you to see that, oh, it is just that I'm stressed out, it is just anxiety, oh, now I can move forward. But the thing with this one is that if you don't give up, if you just keep working, keep learning, things will go better. So actually, let's talk about, okay, if you know, if somebody is in either one of these three spots, what should they think about? So what should one do? Okay. Number one, if somebody is in this I3 scenario, identity, inventives, and investment, I think the first thing to do is ask the hard question. Ask that hard question. And what is the hard question? And that it is, do I want to get better? Do I want to sleep well? Or is there a part of me that is attached to insomnia that actually holds on to it? And the thing is that whatever you answer yourself, it is good. If you answer yourself like, absolutely not, there's not a cell in my body that wants to have insomnia, good. Then you know this is not your problem. You're ready to move forward. But if there's some part of you says, guess what? I think I am a little bit attached to this. You know, it's become part of my identity. It's who I identify as, you know, then that's also good, because then you know that that's something to work on, and then you will get to a place where you sleep really well. So that's what to do if you think you may actually be in that spot. If you have just never gotten good teaching, easy. You know, you're here, you have access to good teaching. So that is a pretty easy one. Now, number three here, if it is like strong defense, okay, you know, your brain just keeps, you know, finding new things that are like, oh, it's, you know, you know, it's like, I thought it was this, but it's not that. You keep on looking for the underlying reason. You're not convinced it's just things, et cetera, et cetera. Then I wouldn't say just keep learning, keep going, keep hope up. You know, you will get there. Maybe you need a sleep detox. Sometimes that helps people, like just leave sleep for a while. But my main point is here, if the defense is strong, you know, I've come across clients, patients, etc., who've had this, but as long as they've like kept asking me questions, kept being willing to explore their beliefs, and kind of kept going, they do well. And so will you. So if you feel like you're in a spot where kind of the defense is strong, keep going. You will get there. So I hope this episode was really helpful. I hope that you now feel like you know why there are horror stories out there. And I hope you see that no matter what you hear out there, no matter what your spot is like, you can get to a place where you sleep really, really well. As always, please let me know in the comment section if you have any comments. If you have a question that you would like us to talk about in open class, please send it to this email, questions@thesleepcoachschool.com. Our video-based course is launching very, very soon. In fact, you can already head to thesleepcoachschool.com and check out one free class that is there. And so I'm really excited about that. If you, on the other hand, prefer text-based coaching and you would like one-on-one coaching that's text-based, then please check out Bedtime, the app. You're very welcome there, of course. So that said, I thank you for being here with me today and look forward to having you back real soon. Until then,